or the punk trio Green Day.
We'd all get in the same car and all show up.
924 Gilman, the legendary club in Berkeley, California, was transformational.
All it took was one step in the door to go, this is awesome.
Welcome to paradise.
What did it mean for you guys to play here back then?
Like playing Mecca.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
this
know.
was, might as well have been playing Shea Stadium work, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
Peel me off this Velcro seat and get me moving.
That's me in 1989. That's John Kiffmeyer. He played with us for a couple years before Trey joined the band.
Billy Joe Armstrong, Mike Dirnt, and Trey Cool were regulars at the club in the late 80s.
We played here once a month, and then the other weekends, we were just here all the time. Yeah.
I was on that stage a lot more as a fan than I was in our band.
Their original band name, Sweet Children, is still spray painted in the rafters.
We painted that there when we did a demo here in '88. Yeah.
Sometimes I give myself the creeps.
The club, a collective, welcomed kids of all ages, but with strict rules.
No racism, no sexism, no homophobia.
It's right there on the door.
Yeah, it always has been.
The kids were here were latchkey kids and stuff, and so we learned community, family, values, you know, but also work. I learned my short game right over there on the basketball court.
The kids did everything from security to sweeping up.
Working again, working.
You wanna go in the bathroom?
Wow. This is kind of a piece of art.
Yeah. It's so funny, on the urinal, there's a Green Day tribute band. They're called Not Green Day.
Green Day is celebrating its history this year, marking major anniversaries of 2 landmark albums.
On holiday.
And releasing a new one, Saviors.
When it's all double talk of conspiracy, the American dream is killing me.
That song is just sort of about the stress and anxiety of living in America right now. You're hit every single day with the algorithm of chaos.
Armstrong says melodies often appear to him in daydreams.
Stuff just floats into your head.
Yeah.
We see it happen to him.
Do you?
Yeah, we'll be like, you don't know what I'm saying right now. You're writing a song, aren't you? And then he'll go, huh? What?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, no, keep doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen
We
to what
put
I
the
have
sign
to
on
say.
him and says, he'll be back in a half an hour.
All 3 are 51 now and longtime parents. Armstrong sings about it in the new song, Father to a Son.
I never knew love could be scarier than anger. I promise, father to son.
Do you think that's changed you musically in any way?
Oh yeah, you know, being a parent makes everything more apparent. You know, every move.
For us being in a band, sleep deprivation, we were already used to, so that
Yeah.
part of parenting wasn't that bad. But
We went straight
any
from
of that stuff,
putting out Doogie to cleaning up Doogie.
Well, I come around.
Dookie, released 30 years ago, was the band's first album for a major label.
There was really no looking back. We were kind of outgrowing a lot of the small clubs we were playing in, and
At that point, were you thinking the stakes were pretty high?
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to hear us on the radio.
What did it feel like?
It felt like I wanted to keep hearing us on the radio.
Dookie would sell more than 10 million albums in the US alone. But a decade later,
Some folks thought you guys were past your prime.
They were wrong.
in 2004, American Idiot would become their first #1 album.
Don't wanna be an American idiot.
We wanted to make our, Tommy. We wanted to make our Ziggy Stardust. And that was our opportunity when it came to Idiot, that we were like, okay, now's the time.
Get him out!
The band just performed the title song on Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest. But Armstrong made a slight change to the old lyric, Redneck Agenda.
I'm running part of a MAGA agenda.
I said MAGA agenda. One word.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a word, it was a hyphen.
Yeah.
You know? And then like everybody picked up on it.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of what I said and I stand behind it 1,000%.
Is it important for you to still be a protest band in some way, do you think?
I think, we've always wanted to keep our edge.
On their tour this summer, behind the new Saviors album, they'll also celebrate the anniversaries of Dookie and American Idiot.
It's sort of a landmark spot you guys are in.
It's a kind of a trifecta moment, you know? We never really look back a whole lot. I want to savor this moment. You know?
Yeah.
I think we all can.
I want to save
Savior.
you in this moment.
I knew that was coming.
And here's your dad joke.
Tina Fey, good morning to you.
Good morning,
We
Gayle.
are
How are
so
you?
glad you're here.
I'm always happy to see you.
So I was flying cross country the other day, and Mean Girls was on, and I knew that I was going to be doing something. So I watched it again, and I watched it years ago, 20 years. And I'm cracking up out loud that the flight attendant came and said, "May I ask what you're watching?" I said, "I'm watching Mean Girls." So then I watched the new version in 2024, and I'm wondering, as you were putting it together, what you thought. We did this back then, and now we have to do this. What was your thinking?
Well, we were bringing it to 2024, so some things are updated, some
Yes.
things are left behind, and making a musical version, we wanted to take sort of the tentpole songs from the Broadway show, but kind of put them back into a fluid, cinematic universe. So, I mean, it was kind of it's a real gift to get to go back to something that you wrote and reopen it and clean the gums.
And I really did like clean the gums. I really did like the music when I was watching on the plane, and then looked at you now. Honestly, I know people say this, but you haven't changed. You physically haven't changed. Do you feel differently?
Do I feel differently? I don't know. I mean, I was in the edit room for this movie, and so like to actually have to be looking at.
You weren't in the edit room for the first one?
I wasn't in the edit room for the first one because I was just a first-time screenwriter then, But
okay.
it's hard not to see where your face is different. But I keep saying if I just leave my face alone long enough, eventually they'll give me an Oscar just for having an old face.
No, you look fantastic. Did you enjoy the experience making it as a musical? It started as a movie,
Yeah.
goes to Broadway as a musical, and then comes back on screen. Were you nervous about how it would be received? Because this is very hard to do.
It is hard to do. I mean, the nice thing about 53 is like, I don't know Honey Badger at this point. Like how it's received, I don't care. Like I want to see how the audience receives
Yes.
it. But we knew that, the Broadway show brought so much joy to so many people, and we only closed because the pandemic came.
Because of COVID, yeah.
Yeah, and I just knew there was more joy to be had, and I wanted more people to experience this. I felt like there was nothing but joy to be had on the other side of this.
It was a pleasant surprise to see Lindsay Lohan.
Yes.
And I thought, how did you guys pull that off, that you could do that and it didn't leak? It was really nice to see her.
Yes, by now the cat's out of
Was
the
that
bag.
your
hopefully.
idea?
I think
Yes, it was.
I was certainly in the mix on it. The original movie is really Lindsay's movie. She's
Yes.
just luminous through it, and I was so glad that she was willing to come all the way from Dubai. She was pregnant.
Came from Dubai?
She came from Dubai. She was 7 months pregnant. She looks gorgeous.
Yes.
And I thought, if she was going to do anything. I thought it might be nice to have her come kind of late in the movie when you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think you've almost
Yes.
forgotten that you're looking for cameos.
Yes. And can I just say on a personal, would you please come back and host the Golden Globe? Is that something you and Amy are so great at it?
That's so nice of you.
And we just went through the Golden Globes. I love that Steve Martin has come out in support of Joe Coy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people realize how hard that is to do.
It's
And he had 10 days to get it together.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of time.
Yeah.
It's a tough room. They don't know you. And
Yes.
and the other thing about it is you don't get to practice it. You're doing your jokes in a vacuum. You don't get a dress rehearsal. SNL, you get a dress rehearsal.
that's right.
So you
right.
you go in thinking like, well, do I do more jokes than I need, or do I cut it down too lean? It's a tough room, and you did great. Like it's also so thankless because it's like there's only two ways it goes. Either people say like, great, do it again, or they go, we didn't like it. And there's no in between.
Yeah. And to his credit, he said, look, Nobody goes out there intending not to do a good job.
Exactly.
But when you and Amy do it, though, no one is saying, I hope those two never come back. No, seriously.
Well, it's definitely nice to have a buddy.
Yeah.
Because even then, if you have a joke that doesn't land, you can just look to your buddy like, woo, that was that one.
Maya Angelou told me something once, Tina, that whether something is really great or really bad, the word you can always use is indeed.
Indeed.
Isn't that good? And that just covers everything.
Indeed.
That just covers everything.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you, Mean Girls musical. Indeed.
Indeed. Oh, wait a minute. What does that mean?
No, that's a bona fide hit. That's a bona fide hit. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bat swinging,
Let's get to work.
gun wielding, chain smoking crime boss. Griselda isn't the kind of role you'd expect from this star.
I called your secretary and told her to order you a box of baby cheeses.
Sofia Vergara is best known for playing housewife Gloria Pritchett on Modern Family.
As you were playing Gloria, were you worried or haunted by the idea that you would never be able to shake off that part and get other parts?
No, I'm never thinking about that because I'm just grateful that I can get anything. That's how we're gonna take control. And we're gonna make the big money for ourselves, for our families.
The series is based on the true story of Griselda Blanco, a single mother of 4 who became a ruthless cartel leader, recognized for bringing cocaine to the masses.
She was this Colombian woman in the 70s and the 80s that took over the drug dealing business, not only in Colombia, here in the United States. As a woman, I was fascinated. Like, how did she become even more ruthless, more horrific than any man?
It's alleged Blanco ordered the deaths of hundreds of people, but she first became entangled in the drug trade as a desperate way to support her children.
When I thought of Griselda, I wanted her to be like Tony Soprano, a character that people didn't hate, even though it was a bad guy.
In her soprano turn, Vergara leaned on method acting.
Sin poder, con miedo. I had never even touched a cigarette in my life. So I was very nervous about that. And then I started practicing like for 3 months. I thought I was gonna go crazy. It was horrific because you don't want to smoke. And I was like, oh my God, what if now suddenly after 50 years I'm gonna be a smoker?
The result is a gritty portrayal and cautionary tale of the true toll of narcotics, a role that hits close to home.
Unfortunately, I grew up in Colombia where narcotraffic was booming.
An estimated 250,000 people were killed during Colombia's decades-long drug war. Among the casualties, Vergara's own brother, Rafael.
My brother was part of that business. I know what that kind of business can do to a family, to a person, to a country.
Vergara grew up in Barranquilla, Colombia. At 17, she was discovered on the beach and cast in this now famously revealing Pepsi commercial.
They wanted me to do it, but I was in a Catholic school, so I was very, very worried that the nuns were gonna get super upset because it was on a bathing suit on the beach.
You don't strike me as somebody that necessarily asks for permission, maybe for forgiveness.
Oh yeah, we Colombians are like that, but I was young and I was like really afraid of the nuns.
In 1998, she moved to Miami with her son Manolo after a divorce from her high school sweetheart. Vergara landed small roles, but bigger dreams led her to Hollywood. Sofia! And a star was born. Vergara became one of the highest paid actors on television.
I always wanted to make money. Making money for my son, to put him in a great college, to help my family.
With Griselda, Vergara says she's most proud of creating a production showcasing Latino performers, including singer Karol G in her first acting role. But Vergara reveals before filming began in 2022, her nerves nearly got in the way.
I had a little panic attack the night before I started filming Griselda. I was with Manolo showing him things that I was doing, that I was gonna film the next day, and I'm like, why did I thought that I could do this? This woman in this scene, she's gonna have to do all these horrible things. And I said, I don't know if I can have that in me. And he looked at me completely like, it's like, yes, you have it in you. I've seen it. You can do it. I'm like, how dare you?
But in this new year, Vergara is again ready to shine.
When you arrived here in the United States, did you ever imagine you build this kind of career?
No. You have to work. You have to work more than anyone if you have an accent like me. And, you know, you have to prove yourself more if you're a minority. It hasn't been easy, but, I mean, it's been amazing.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Jonathan Vigliotti in Los Angeles.
Lucy Hale, what's up? How you doing?
I realized I have the same hair today as I do in the movie.
Consistent
Totally
look.
Unintentional, but very consistent.
Very consistent. Thank you for joining
Very
us.
pretty and
having
pink
me.
today.
That's
Very
right.
pink
Backdrop.
today.
Just for you,
so
as Gayle likes to
wonderful.
say.
Just for you, Lucy.
Guys.
This story, it jumps around in
Yeah.
different timelines. What is it like to play a character in different phases of her life?
Gayle and I were talking about this because Gayle was so sweet, and you said you loved the movie, and I appreciate it so much. But we were saying, like, the movie starts how usual rom-coms end. So it starts with the couple getting together, and then they're like, whoa, I really care about you, I'm really vibing with you, but, like, I need to disclose who I am as a person and be really transparent. So they go back and relive all of their major loves, major heartbreaks. So I got to play ages like 16 to 30, and we get to see both characters throughout their lives, which was really fun to play.
Lucy, I love how you say they're getting together. They're boinking in the coat closet at a wedding.
They are getting together.
As
Yeah.
one does.
Yes.
I was raised in a
As
house-
one does. I personally have not done that, but good for them, right?
I
Good
just
for them.
now I want to know about Gayle's coat closet.
I know, I'm like, do tell us, Gayle. We're waiting.
Only because, Lucy, I was raised in a house where my grandmother actually said this: a man doesn't buy the cow if he can get the milk for free. Which, when you look at it, is so wrong on so many levels.
Right,
On
right,
many
right.
levels. But I was raised in a house like that. And so I'm thinking, how could this possibly end up with the two of them together?
How could this possibly work out?
Yeah.
A one-night stand, how could it possibly work out?
But also the thing about it telling all of your demons up front, which I think is an interesting premise.
And scary.
Yeah, what do you think about
I
that?
fully subscribe to that in my real life as well.
You do?
I think, yeah. I
Tell
mean,
warts and
no
all?
games. Bring the skeletons out of the closet. Be yourself, and the people who stick around for you, romantic or otherwise, they'll always be there.
Those are the real ones.
Yeah. Otherwise,
But what if
everything
it
else
scares
goes
them
away.
off before you get started? Yeah, before you start.
I don't want a man who's scared of me anyway. So I feel like if they're scared, they don't belong there. But I think that Jane in the movie feels that way as well. She's like really damaged. I think Will is also really damaged. And I feel like their relationship might not be the healthiest, but like at least they're being really honest.
Yeah, I love their
Which I think is great.
Did you find in your own life that there were any moments that you went back to that you recalled in your
Any
own?
people, any relationships I'd like to relive? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You take the wins, you learn from each relationship, but no, I think those chapters are
There's not one that got away that you think,
no. No.
Good riddance.
I don't. Not good. I mean, to some good riddance, but to some I'm friends with. But
Yeah.
no, I don't long for past.
But Lucy,
past
the
lovers.
great thing about you, and kudos to you, because you're very open and honest as you are in this movie, but you recently shared on Instagram about 2 years of sobriety.
Yeah.
Has that been difficult for you? And I appreciate that you opened up the way that you did to
Oh.
share something that's so personal.
It had been a long journey of trying to find a way that worked for me, but difficult as far as talking about it. No. Like it all seamlessly happened. It felt very authentic and natural for me to be open in that way. I think, once again, transparency, like showing up as myself is like the biggest gift, because I used to be afraid of that, but I've just been welcomed with so much love and warmth, and it's been really beautiful to be able to be myself.
We can also say Lucy Hale, actress, actor. We can also say Lucy Hale, executive producer.
Yes, we
watched
can.
the movie
I also
today.
wear that hat.
Yeah, and then the credits said Lucy Hale, and along with Nat Wolff, executive producer. What's the difference for you between being an actor and also executive producing in this particular project?
I think for this particular project, we got to, me and Nat and our director, Peter, we really molded the script. So we got to make creative choices involving like dialogue and character and casting and wardrobe. So it's for me, it's just like being involved with the entire process from the very beginning. So.
Well, I'm not going to tell people how it ends, because it takes a lot of twists and turns, and I'm wondering how is this couple going to make it?
I'm still wondering about your coat closet.
Oh!
Lucy, I am such a square, but it is hard out here for a pimp. But I really, I really am a big square.
That took a left turn.
I love this interview.
Welcome to
Lucy's
50
gonna-
Shades of CBS Mornings.
Yes. Lucy's going to executive produce her next work, Gayle's Coat Closet.
Gayle King.
Gail's Coat Closet. Oh, that sounds like a good book. Thank you so much, Lucy.
Thank you for having me.
Reba, good morning. It's really good to see you.
Good morning, Gayle. Good morning, Nate. Hope you guys are staying warm up there in New York.
This is such a big deal. And I'm wondering, how does one get to sing at the Super Bowl, sing the national anthem of all things? Do you call somebody or do they call you? You pick up the phone and they say, Reba, we picked you. How does this happen?
I got the news from my manager, Justin McIntyre. So he said that they wanted me to sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl. And I said, oh, my gosh. Well, let me think about that. And Rex Lynn, my boyfriend, who is a huge football fan, he said, yes, she'll do it. Absolutely. So that's where we're at.
This is the thing, Reba. It's the first time that you've ever performed at the Super Bowl. And they always say that the national anthem is one of the hardest songs to sing. So how do you get ready for something like this? Are you nervous? What are you thinking?
Well, guys, I've been singing the national anthem since a long time, but I started in 1974 singing the national anthem at the National Finals Rodeo in Oklahoma City. So I sang the national anthem there for 10 years. And how you get ready for it, you just warm up like you do a concert and sing it about 5 or 6 times and get in there and do it.
Reba, as luck would have it, guess what? We have tape of you singing at the rodeo from back at the day. Can we just show that to give the audience an idea about Miss Reba knows exactly what she's doing.
Let me jump in here. The only difference I see is the hairstyle. So I have to ask, what are you drinking that is keeping you so young?
Oh, nature, my very best friend.
You look fantastic.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much.
The other thing, listen, you have many talents. We know you look good. We know you sing good, but rumor has it that you're not so great in the kitchen, especially when it comes to chili. I heard from reliable sources that you did a whole big chili cook-off and then you came in last. What happened? What'd you leave out?
Well, for some reason, I guess I left out all the spices, but man, I was dumping chili powder and Hatch green chilies in there. And I thought, man, this is going to do it. It was from a Texas recipe. I was so excited. And then when they came in and said that, they were kid gloves telling me that my chili took a dump. Wasn't that good? I was shocked. To tell you the truth, I just knew this was our third annual chili cook-off, and I just knew I was going to win. I didn't. I won the trophy.
How does somebody tell you with kid gloves your chili sucked? What did they say?
Well, Rex was one of the judges, and he came and whispered it in my ear. He said, I'm so sorry. I said, well, you going to tell me who won? Well, it's not you. Well, why are you telling me this now? And then so he handed me the trophy, and it was a chili pepper in the toilet. And so my chili took a dump.
I love you and Rex together. You guys have been friends for a long time, but you sort of made it official back in 2020. Why does this particular partnership, you star together on TV shows, you're clearly in the kitchen, why does it work so well for the two of you now when you've known each other so long?
Well, our backgrounds are similar. We both wanted to be rodeo champions. Neither one of us had that talent, so we went into singing, I did, and he went into acting, and that's where we met in 91 doing The Gambler with Kenny Rogers, and just remained friends throughout the years. And then when we got back together working again on Young Sheldon in 2020, it was just like, we've known each other for that many years, and we went out to dinner again, and that's when the sparks happened. I asked Rex one time, I said, wonder why we didn't get together earlier. He said, well, one thing, you were married before. And two, I think we might have killed each other because he's a lot of fun, lots of energy. I've kind of mellowed. He's kind of calmed down. So I think we've met at the right time.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Getting back to that big game, Super Bowl 58, right here on CBS. It's about football. It's about fun, the performances. But it's also about the commercials.
Yeah.
And we have a commercial that we want you to take a peek at from the mid-'90s. I believe it was 1995. Can we roll that?
But this is Reba McEntire.
See?
Yeah, right.
What would
would you say to that young lady in the mid-90s?
Look at her smile looking at that.
I know.
That's so nice.
That was so much fun to get to do the Frito commercial. Matter of fact, I made my chili that didn't win. I made it last night into a Frito pie. So that's very fitting that you guys showed that commercial today. I tell that little old girl, hang in there, don't take things so seriously, and have fun.
Listen, we're cheering you on
thanks.
Super Bowl Sunday. We'll be there.
We'll be in the building, so if we stop by to say hi, don't forget
Yay.
about the little people.
That's right. Congrats, Reba.
I'll see you then.
The Coco complected queen is here to join us this morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So
Didn't you like that introduction?
Yeah, that was
I like that, Nate.
Somebody record that.
congratulations on the 5 Grammy nominations.
Thank you.
How did you react when you heard the news?
I honestly was on a plane and I was asleep. So I kept feeling this vibration. I was like, wow, the turbulence is crazy. And then I was like, let me wake up just in case something's going on. And then I looked at my phone and you know how you can get messages. It was just hundreds of messages, congratulations, congratulations. So I knew I had gotten nominated, but people kept saying 5, and I was like, 5 what? What does that mean? So when I finally landed, I could call people back. I found out that I was nominated for 5 Grammys.
Who'd you call first?
My mama, of course.
And speaking of mom, she had a special reaction. I believe we have the video.
I love this.
Let's run that right now.
Mama. I know.
That's what a mama does.
So what does it mean to have her in your life personally and professionally?
I mean, my mom taught me everything I know, how I carry myself, how I persevere, how I love. I mean, that's all from my mom. She is the goal. She is the epitome of class and power and strength and resilience. I learn everything from her.
Yes, I haven't even met your mom, but I'm already in love with her just listening to that. I got a thing on my sheet that said Courtney Jones has arrived, and I said, who is that? And I see your mom saying Courtney. So who came up with the name Coco? Was it your mom?
My mom came up with that when I was younger.
Why?
She wanted there to always be a difference between Coco, the personality, and Courtney. Whenever I'm at home, I'm Courtney. I'm comfortable, I'm normal. I still have chores, I still have to help out, keep it humble, and then as Coco, I can be like larger than life.
But you and your mom seemed to know at an early age that you had this. What was your dream growing up? Because you're also an actress on Bel Air. And they have a line in there, you play Hillary Banks, and she says, well, one day I'm going to be famous. Hillary character. What was your dream when you were coming up? What did you want?
I saw Disney Channel. I saw these talented kids who were able to sing and act and dance and have it all combined sometimes. And that's what I wanted. I didn't really know how to articulate what that meant and how to get there. I just knew I wanted to be a star.
Like who? Oh, you wanted to be a star?
A star, yes. I have this one video, home video of me saying, I just want to be as big as Mariah Carey. I didn't know what that really meant, but I knew there's stars, and I wanted to be that.
You're on your way.
How did you get there? What would your mom have told you that kept you, because it isn't easy becoming a star, having 5. That's not easy.
5 Grammys.
No, it's definitely not, and I don't take it for granted. I think what kept me going was my family. All of the times that I felt like maybe it's not gonna work out, I would turn to them, and they'd remind me of how far I've come and how every door that needed to open, opened in due time.
And can we talk about the album? Because you have a thing on there with Babyface.
Yes.
Simple, I Love You and Babyface together.
Thank you, me too.
Oh, I think it's so fantastic.
Thank you.
So what do you want now, Coco? What is you dream of being as big? You're certainly on your way.
What's next?
So yeah, what's next?
Well, I have to dream.
What excites you now, yeah?
I have to dream bigger because a lot of the goals I met last year, it blew my mind to see all of my real dreams and goals come to fruition. I think this year, I just want to take everything bigger. I want my brand to succeed past music. I don't know what that would look like. I want to perform all over the world. I just had my first sold-out shows in Europe, and I want to go to more places. I want more doors to be opened by music. I want to do a huge film, something that like really sets the tone as me as a talented actress as well as a musician. And overall, I just want to grow and find more peace, find more happiness, find more balance, and mentor the next young girl to do the same.
Yeah, I love what you feel about brown-skinned girls. You talked about colorism at an early age for yourself, and that's also a message you're sending.
Yes, I think it's important to speak up and be vulnerable because pretending doesn't inspire and it doesn't uplift. And if I have this platform and I can't inspire and uplift the next girl, then did I really only do that for myself? That's
And your
just not
message is
right.
what, as we say goodbye? Your message is what?
My message is whatever you're believing for, that's what you can have. The moment you think you can't have something, that's when you can't. But the restrictions that you hold in your own mind are the only that will hold any weight.
Coco, we appreciate you.
Yes,
Thank you
cheering
so
you
much.
on,
Keep
Coco
killing it. Keep
Jones.
doing
Thank
your
you.
thing.
See you at the
Go watch
Grammys.
this.
The multi-platinum Grammy Award-winning producer has worked with some of the biggest names in music, including Beyonce, Jay-Z, Madonna, Justin Timberlake. Timbaland is behind some of the most iconic beats and songs we all know and love. Now only on CBS Mornings. He joins us now from Coral Gables, Florida. Tim, good morning. Congratulations. This is just such a huge honor.
Yes, we're giving you a round of applause. A round of
thank you.
applause, Timbaland. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
How does it feel to be in the Songwriters Hall of Fame?
It kind of caught me off guard because, you know, for me, I don't never look at my work to be put up on a pedestal. I just love to keep working and doing what God gave me the gift to do. It was kind of like caught off by surprise, and I was like, oh, wow, because I, you know, to be honest with you, when years go by, as you get older, you don't really never think, you think you look past, you know, I never thought that I was recognized like this. I know what I meant to the world, but, you know, sometimes you just don't never wish to, or never think that you're gonna get such an accolade such as this. So it's kind of surprising. I didn't know I was noticed like this. I didn't know. So it was like,
But Tim,
oh, wow.
Tim,
Wow, so
have
I
you
am
looked-
noticed.
Have you looked at your catalog of
Yeah,
work that you've done?
exactly.
When you said, I never thought, have you looked at your catalog? I want to go, take us inside your brain for just a second. You're writing these words on a piece of paper, on your computer, and now all of a sudden we're all singing it. Do you have a certain process and what this means to you to be recognized this way? What's your process that you're still doing? You're still doing.
I think just never falling out of love for what I do and what the gift God gave me to do. I think that's my process. It always been my process. I never got caught up into my highlights. I always was one who just stayed in the work, you know. So that's really my process, always to be better than the last hit. Always, you know, because people always had this saying that scared me. They said, you're only good as your last hit.
Yeah,
I'm like,
sure.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, so after this hit wear off, then it's like you've forgotten about, you know. So for me, it's always try to stay in the race. I
know,
never
but you
looked at accolades. I just want to stay in the race.
Tim, you've described yourself, I think, as an introverted kid. So what has music given you over all these years?
Music, yeah, because I'm very I'm more extrovert a little bit more now, but music really gives me a way to speak because I'm not great with like going out speaking or giving a speech and doing, you know, how I really feel, but music expresses what I'm feeling. So when I make a beat or a song and people like, wow, you did that, yeah, it kind of speaks without me speaking. You know, like it sounds very poetic without me speaking a word. You know, because the music speaks for me, and that was a way of me saying, hey, I'm here, like, but this is how I talk. I almost consider myself, you know, when I saw Transformers as Bumblebee, you know, somebody who changed the sound on the radio, and that's how I convey my words. So music was a way of me speaking without speaking.
Okay, Bumblebee, I like your analogies this morning, Tim. But I like what you said, it's using my gift. What do you think your gift is? You've touched on it a little bit. What do you think your gift is?
I believe my gift is to to make people forget about their everyday problems and to laugh and to love and to come together, because I think I have the most beautiful gift in the world that doesn't have a color base, it just has a feeling, you know, and I think that's what the world is based on, feelings, and I think we forget about our feelings and we get desensitized on what makes us feel good. And when I do a great song that tops the chart, it gives that feeling to make people feel good and forget about their everyday problems and come together with people that you might not have would have came together with. And it brings people closer. You know, music is the thing that I always was, this is my saying, I feel like if you want to change the atmosphere in the room, put on some music. That changes everything about the atmosphere, what's going on. You can be angry, but I always want to be the guy that shines a light. I'm not saying the brightest light, but just a light to make you say, is this really serious? Is this really like, is this life-changing, or is it life or death? No. Let's break bread, let's have fun, let's dance, let's have joy. And after that, let's, you know, if there's any issues, we can work it out. But music is the way to break the barrier of bad and good, and I feel like it brings a good synergy to people together.
Amen to
and
that.
That's I always want to be that little light.
Yes, all right, little light, bumblebee, all the tings. You got us feeling all the tings. We are sending you big love, big hugs, cheering you on today.
Congratulations,
Tim. We're very excited about this for you. Thank you so much for doing it.
Thank you.
You're a good surprise, too. You're a good surprise.
Thank you for having me.
From a big dog in the front seat to a big dog in the industry, Clive Owen. How are you doing? Good morning.
Very good.
Thank you for joining us. So the legendary Humphrey Bogart, he played this role in the 1941 film The Maltese Falcon. And you are a huge Bogart fan.
Huge.
What did you think when you got this role and landed it?
I was so thrilled. I mean, I knew of Scott Frank, who wrote and directed it. He did The Queen's Gambit. And I knew of his writing and was always a huge fan. And he called me up and pitched me the idea. And I've got a small original Maltese Falcon poster on my wall.
Really?
So I took a shot and I sent it to him and said, "You've come to the right guy." Like,
I'm your
so
guy.
I was thrilled, yeah, really thrilled.
What did it take to perfect the delivery in this show? Because part of what makes it work is your character has this history of violence we're led to believe, and you don't ever see that violence at first.
Yes.
Except it's in every line. It's just there beneath the surface. There's like a menace.
You think something scary is going to happen.
Because, you know, we've taken Sam Spade, we've jumped 20 years ahead. He's now living in the south of France, trying to live a quiet life. But for me, because I was surrounded with a lot of French actors, I had to make sure the origins of the part was 40s, private detective, Bogart-like. So, to be honest, I kind of drowned in Bogart a little bit, and I listened to him constantly just to bed myself in that period and that time. And
you captured it.
Yeah, I was going to say mission accomplished, Mr. Owen, because you nailed it. Also, your French accent. I thought, do you actually speak French? I wondered.
I don't know. They all asked me in the beginning, "How's your French? Is it good?" I went, "It will be."
Was it a good French accent? I mean, one of the characters said it was like a flock of crows.
But I just
I did have license because it didn't have to be good.
Yeah.
Scott kept saying, "It doesn't have to be good. Don't worry."
So you didn't speak. So what did you do? Just learn the line?
No, I thought, because I had like a lot of time before we started shooting, I thought, I'm going to learn French. So I got a French school teacher, and we started to learn it traditionally in the, you know, classic way as if you're at school. And suddenly, after like a while of this, I thought, I'm learning so much that I'm not going to need. I'm not going to be tested on the grammar. I'm not going to pass an exam. So I switched tact, and I learned it all phonetically. So I learned it like an accent.
Yeah.
So I had to totally understand the scene and what everybody was saying, and then the French I learned by sound, like you would an accent.
I know, but I loved watching you. This movie, you know, there's 6 episodes. I was just going to watch one just to get a sense of it. But the first one ends with the murder of nuns, Clive. I've never seen nuns being murdered.
I'm trying to solve it. I didn't do it.
Yeah, but I mean, the storyline is such a wild storyline that takes us on so... Didn't you guys think...
Twists and turns,
so
but it's set up perfectly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Katie and I are going to watch every episode. I'm going to have to watch the first one again. It's that good. But I'm curious, what's great about the show is it's fresh, but also has a nostalgia to it.
For sure.
Yes.
Well, I think that's the thing, because the thing about noir is that, you know, everyone feels like they've seen it before. As soon as you do all those tropes, like we go, oh, we know what that is, we know what noir is. But I think it's a very clever idea, take an iconic 40s private detective, but throw him 20 years later in the south of France. Already, we're in it's a new version of it.
It's a new film.
But still, the heart of it, the essence of it, it still has that kind of 40s PI vibe.
Well, Clive, you are so awesome, man. We
Yes.
appreciate you joining us.
Maggie Nichols, it's an honor to have you in the studio. Your book is so good, Maggie. Let me just start with that. So you opened the book telling us about your love for this sport. You said, I was willing to sacrifice and do anything for this sport. I loved it that much. And something I never thought about until you pointed it out, Nate, you're like this. She said, other athletes are throwing balls in the air. We are throwing our bodies in the air.
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
Yep.
Yes.
What do you love about it? What did you love about it so much?
I loved everything about it. Ever since I started, I loved to learn all the new skills. But as I got older, I loved the challenge of it. Every single day brings a new challenge, whether that's a new skill, you know, making it to world championships or anything like that. I just loved working so hard and being disciplined, and just loved it so much.
So you were on track to make the Olympic team. Things were going very well for you. And then you happened to ask another athlete, another gymnast, does this happen to you with Larry Nassar? What was your question?
Yeah, so it was happening to me with Larry Nassar. I've seen a lot of doctors in my life, and I've had a lot of injuries, so I've
Your
seen
dad's
a lot
a
of...
doctor.
My dad is a doctor as well, and a lot of PTs, and so I kind of felt like what he was doing was wrong, and so I asked someone who was a little bit older than me if this was happening to her too, and my coach overheard me, and you know, the rest is history after that.
Oh boy, wow. And,
It really was an oh boy. I mean, and once you came out with, and this was 2015.
Yes.
Your life changed after that.
For
You were treated differently. You and your family were treated differently.
And you went publicly in 2018.
Yes.
Had to be one of the scariest moments of your life. Why did you make that decision, and how did you feel after?
Yeah, it took me a really long time to decide whether or not I wanted to come out publicly, but I felt like I would help someone else who may be, you know, experiencing something similar, and empower them to, you know, share their story. Because some of the girls that were coming out publicly before me inspired me to come forward, and I felt like I helped a lot of people by doing so.
Yeah, they had reported it first back in 1997. We should be very clear about this and not to be too graphic, but he was giving genital exams that he said was helping you with ungloved hands with all of these young girls. And there were reports that he was getting aroused at the time. What did you think that this was supposed to do?
Well, I was having back pain. I was at the World Selection Camp when it first happened, and I couldn't barely touch my toes. And so he told me that it was going to help me be able to do all my skills and be able to compete with no pain.
And people liked Nassar, didn't they?
Yeah,
In
everyone.
the beginning, yeah. What was your
For what they thought he was.
Yes.
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 I mean, everyone said he was the most friendly doctor and everything like that, and that's what we trusted. I mean, we were young athletes at the time, and so we trusted everything that, you know, they told us at USAG.
But it went so long where people didn't believe you. Steve Penny, who was the head of the USA Gymnastics, your parents were saying, "Look, what are you all doing?" And what would he say to your parents?
Don't worry about Maggie. We'll take care of Maggie. So
There's an investigation underway. If you say anything, it'll derail everything.
Yes.
Seems the FBI let you down as well.
Yes.
How so?
Just not approaching the situation correctly and not doing what they're supposed to do, not protecting us. After we reported, so many other athletes were abused by Larry Nassar, so it's really disappointing.
Well, he's where he belongs.
Yes, hundreds of women came forward,
Hundreds of women
though.
came
to talk
forward,
about
and,
it.
and
Yes.
part of what makes this book fantastic, and particularly for young gymnasts, is there's so much about the sport. There's a whole glossary. Your whole resume is there in the back. What do you hope aspiring gymnasts take away from this?
Yeah, I hope they take a lot away from it, but I think something unique in my story is sometimes when you go through disappointments, you know, you think that your dream is crushed, but then another door swings wide open with so many more amazing opportunities than you could ever imagine. You know, me not making the Olympic team, I thought my dreams were dashed, you know, but then I got to go to the University of Oklahoma, and I had the most amazing career there, and, you know, broke some records, and
broke a whole lot of
records.
You had a great coaching staff there. I love
Yes.
the KJ that you write about. Simone Biles, who wrote your foreword, says, Maggie taught me that the gym Business first and fun later.
Yes.
You two are very close. You were at her wedding. You've got news. You're engaged.
I am engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie Nichols.
Thank you so much.
This book will help a lot of people, a lot of young women in particular. Thank you. Michele Norris joins us first on CBS Mornings. It's very good to see you, Michele Norris, and always good to have you here.
Great to be here.
Welcome back. You know, you write, there were so many good ones. When I was reading, number one, the book is beautifully done. Let me start with that. But I loved when you said, one person said, white privileged and until Floyd clueless. Black boyfriend visited, Nana called police. That was actually one of my favorites because I could certainly visualize that. You say most people would much rather chew on their toenails than talk about race, which I also think is true. And you decided to do this why, and why 6 words? Because I thought that was hard.
Okay, so first, thank you for having me.
No, we're glad
I'm
you're
so
here.
glad to be here and be here first with all of you. I did this because I thought no one wanted to talk about race.
Yeah.
And it turns out I was wrong.
And you think we need to talk about it?
Well, I think we need to, and I actually think we want to. I mean, I wrote a book in 2010 about my family's very complex legacy, racial legacy. It's called The Grace of Silence. And when I was going out in the world to talk about that book, I thought no one would want to talk about race. So I created this exercise, this little 6-word exercise, to try to lubricate that conversation. I was working with Melissa Bear, who's here with me in New York, and we thought, what can we do? We can just use postcards. My parents worked for the Postal Service. I was supporting the post office.
Yeah.
And it was 6 words because it was easy. It was an easy ask. If I asked for a sentence, people would write a paragraph. If I asked for a paragraph, people would say, oh, that's too hard.
Yeah.
So 6 words was easy, and it would really distill people's thoughts. And I did it because I thought no one wanted to talk about race. And it turns out a lot of people actually do. They're just looking for a place where there's an
safe
easy
place
on-ramp.
to do it.
And what's the emotion you find? Do people feel a sense of relief? Do they feel fear? What emotions are bubbling behind that once you saw this flow?
Every single possible emotion. I mean, most of the, we love the postcards, we still get postcards, but most of the cards now come in digitally because we have a website, and most people submit there. And they submit backstories. That's the nice thing about doing it on the website is we started, not long into it, we added 2 words, anything else. And then it was like, oh, you want to know what I think? And then people would give us an essay, a few paragraphs, a treatise. They would write, and then that we sort of understood their backstory, and that's where we saw the emotion. So yes, it's fear, it's anxiety.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's triumph, sometimes it's humor. I love, someone wrote total non-issue when the aliens arrive, and that's a way of saying maybe we should get over it because we have more in common.
You write that people are desperate to discuss race through the prism of their personal experiences, which is so spot on. But explain that.
Well, if you look at the archive, I liken it to a tree ring, which tells a story of America in this period, bookended by the presidencies of Barack Obama and Donald Trump and then Joe Biden. It encompasses the pandemic, it encompasses George Floyd, it encompasses kids at the border. But you see some of that in the archive. People don't write about headlines. They write about their personal experiences.
What they've
when they're
lived.
talking about Tamir Rice or George Floyd, they're talking about their son. They're talking about their commute. If they're talking about a changing America, they're talking about their lunchroom that suddenly smells because there are all these new people and they bring food that smells differently in their lunchbox than I'm used to. They write about very, very personal things rather than the headlines. They're spurred on by the headlines, but they actually write about their own lives.
You say them can be the most dangerous word in the English language. I like that. And you said racism is not the same today as it was yesterday. What do you mean?
Well, when I started this project, you remember the word post-racial? Yeah. Everyone was talking about America being post-racial. We're so eager to get over it. And I, in doing this work, have become not a pessimist, but more pragmatic. I think some form of bias will probably always be with us.
Yes.
It has since the beginning, so why do we think it's going to go away? I think it's a little bit like COVID. It mutates, right? So the racism that your parents, my parents, experienced in America is different. It will present in new ways. AI has introduced new forms of bias that we can't even think about. So instead of pretending it'll go away, maybe we need to think about how to confront it.
And a better America, you say, won't happen automatically.
No. We have to work for it.
Yeah.
Michele Norris, thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us.
Emily Tisch Sussman joins us now. Emily, good morning. This podcast speaks to me. I think it speaks to a lot of women and probably men, too. Why did you want to start this?
I mean, it really came out of the fact that
I needed advice. I spent my whole career as a political strategist. I was working in Washington on federal policy, and I was doing well. Like, I had accomplished all the things that I had hoped to accomplish in my professional career, or at least was getting towards them.
Right.
And then I had 3 kids in 3.5 years, and let me tell you, that is a career killer. Like, I had designed my job to be 24/7, to be on all the time, and part of why I was good at it is I came at it with a high intensity, and I just didn't have that bandwidth. Like, it didn't exist for me.
Yeah.
And so I felt like all of my metrics for success had suddenly changed. I couldn't, my metric for success was unavailable in my career, and nothing that was out there in the world really spoke to me. Like, all of the cultural conversation, all the writing was about balancing work life.
Yeah.
Which implied that you were choosing this, and I really didn't feel like I chose it.
Yeah.
And so I needed inspiration, and I thought, well, how do I get advice from the women I look up to the most? Put them on a podcast.
Yeah.
That's
Smart
super
advice.
interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so Misty Copeland, we just heard a little bit of that conversation with her. She was worried she wouldn't be able to dance again because of an injury. What did you learn from her recovery?
She had so many bumps along the way that I really didn't know. I think that part of her story, which I think can apply to a lot of our guests, is that you look at them and you think, oh, well, of course they're successful. Of course, you know, they're so incredible right now that everything they've done must have built them to this point. But she didn't always know she was going to be a success, particularly if your job is based on your physical ability, and that is pulled out from under you. You know, we think about these people, dancers, athletes, where they're really, their entire profession is based on something they may not have any control over, and they've never prepared for anything else. That's a scary moment for them. So the fact that it took her a year to recover was something I didn't know before we started looking into her background.
I mean, career pivoting is not unique to women. I myself did it when I was 40 years old, but you mostly talk to women on this podcast. I'm intrigued by what your assessment is when we stop being like our parents and grandparents. In other words, you have one job for the rest of your life and then you retire. There are people now who have multiple pivots in their life. When did that start?
Pivoting used to be called quitting. In the
Yeah. Now it's pivoting.
Yeah, well, that we're reframing. We're going to reframe that right now. Look, I think we live longer. I think we're young longer. I think we're enthusiastic longer. And I think we're also acknowledging that we have different phases of our lives. Our lives are not all one direction. We have different contexts to our lives. And our success gets redefined. It gets redefined for ourselves. In that era, our parents' era of having one job, sticking with it the whole time, they weren't as acknowledging that the conditions around them changed, whether it's having kids, whether it's having to move, whether it's climate change may force them to move. Like, all of these different things are reasons. And so they have to be able to define success for themselves in that moment. I don't think that was really considered for our parents' generation. But for our generation, we're thinking about it much more.
Do you think that you found a common trait in the women that you spoke with where this is the moment where they knew they had to make a pivot, or something that forced the pivot? Because you can live in a bad moment for a while if needed.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's really important to me, I'd say most important to me when I look at the season as a whole and the guests that we're booking, is to make sure that we have the largest variety we possibly can in what that pivot point was. I call that like the intervening life event. Because we want to be able to show, look, my story is in some ways the most common, that I had kids and it changed my life, and so I changed my career. But I wanted to be able to demonstrate through personal storytelling that that's not the one thing that throws people off track. And we have that through our season. So, you know, we have Holocaust survivors. We have women who came out as trans. We have women who had divorce because of chronic illness. Like, it's all these different things that can, something outside of yourself that can change your life and then therefore change your trajectory. I'd say the biggest commonality I find is that in that dark moment, they didn't know they were going to be a success.
But you will.
You will. You will. And so I think that's important to really tease out in the interviews.
In the darkness comes the light.
It will come.
It's a great podcast. Can't wait for the next season now that I've been turned on to it. Emily, thank you so much for joining us.
Our next guest is the uber talented. Do you like being called uber talented? Uber talented, award-winning, he said he does, actor Andrew Rannells. He's starring alongside Josh Gad in the Broadway show Gutenberg the Musical. So the duo play clueless, aspiring playwrights. They're presenting to investors their original, but how shall we say, wildly inaccurate musical about Johann Gutenberg. He's the inventor of the printing press, we know that. Here's a preview.
What it means is there's no set, no costumes, just a few props, and every light they would let us rent from dancepartydjsofnewark.com. Also, there's no cast.
Just me
and Doug. That's right. We're going to sing all the songs and play all the parts and give you some help to understand the potential of what we have written.
I think the key word here is potential.
I also like the word help.
I like that line. I like that line. So on Tuesday, I got to make my Broadway debut with a surprise cameo, appearing as the producer who decides to invest in their musical. Here's a look at that.
Bud and Doug, this show is so fantastic. Breaking news, I don't need to hear another note. Why? Because I am a famous Broadway producer.
Yes.
Some say I am the king of Broadway producers. I hold in my hands a Broadway contract. Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of lines.
That was
a
right.
lot.
I know.
Andrew, welcome.
Learn that day.
Did you notice that little ad lib I did? The king.
Very
of
nice.
Yes.
You added that in?
I did that all by
Made it
myself,
your
didn't I,
own.
Andrew?
Now, did that make you want to do more Broadway shows?
No.
No?
I'm very well. Listen, I was flattered you guys just asked me to do it, but it was such a kick.
I'm glad
to be on the stage like, and that everybody's cheering.
That audience
you like they're glad to see
bananas.
you.
Yeah,
that
they
was
were
so
really
good. That was so good.
But no more Broadway shows.
No.
Okay, all right.
I just want to work with whatever you're doing, Andrew. I want to be
Well,
with you.
I'll let you know.
So it's wrapping up the run. It was
Yes.
a 20-week run from the beginning.
That's
and
right.
Now you're into your final 2 weeks.
That's right. We close on January 28th. So it's been a very good run, and it's been very exciting. We've had new guests every night
you get somebody new,
which is very exciting.
What I like is the way the audience reacts because it's so silly, yet it's so smart. And we feel like we should participate while you're up on the stage. Do
Yes.
you like that?
Well, yeah. I mean, we do spend a good portion of the show talking directly to the audience.
Right.
So there is. So I mean, it's exciting for Josh and I because the show does change every performance because it's sort of catered to that audience, and we do sort of open the door to a certain amount of. Not audience participation, but it does. We are talking directly to them. Interaction. Sometimes they want to really interact.
And you want to say, no, we got this.
Say, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
But guys, when they're on stage, people come in late. Andrew calls them out. The phone rings. The phone rang in the middle of the performance, and both you and Josh went and looked at the person just like that, like on cue.
No one's safe.
Yeah, no one is safe. That's the thing. No
well,
one
we
is
can
safe.
see the whole audience.
Yes.
We have to acknowledge what's happening.
Speaking of you and Josh, you guys were a duo in Book of Mormon.
Yes.
The chemistry between you is fantastic. You're real life off-stage best friends.
Yes.
What's it like reuniting on stage?
It's been since the Book of Mormon. So we left that show in 2012. And
Oprah and I went to see you in Book of Mormon. Do you
I have
remember?
the photos.
Do you?
I should have brought the photos.
You should have brought the photos.
I regret the photos that I have with you from the Book of Mormon. I'm very sweaty, and I really regret that.
Yeah,
'cause it's not a
I'd
great
like to
look
see
for me.
those
But
myself.
yeah. So this is our first time back on stage together since then, which is very exciting. And I would like to say we've matured in the time.
But are you sure though? Because I feel like during the show, you guys try to make each other laugh.
So
We
true,
do.
Nate. Yes.
We do.
And how do you do that exactly?
I mean, Josh is pretty easy to break. I mean,
Really?
Yeah. I mean, but it's very exciting to get to do this with him and to get to do this with a friend because we do know what those triggers are for each other. And he likes to mix it up. I like to mix it up, so it keeps it fun for us. And I think I think the audience sort of
loves it.
You know, is it unprofessional? Perhaps. Is it entertaining? Yeah,
definitely.
But in no other show we're going to be allowed to do this. So we're going to take the opportunities we can.
You know what else I think is fun? You've had quite a nice lineup of people who've come in: Billy Crystal and Manuel, Chloe Feynman. You've had a bunch of people.
Yep.
But the way you and Josh react to everyone that's come out, like it's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I know it's called acting, but do you guys seem to have a great fun with that too?
Oh,
reacting
yeah.
to whoever.
It's really,
and everybody plays it differently, don't they?
Everybody plays it a little differently, and it's really fun to see what the audience reaction to the very. I mean, now at this point in the run, people know
that something's
something going to happen. So they start. You can see them start to look around.
To see who
Like,
it is.
Who's it gonna be?
No, the night I was there, because I have bad knees, you don't know this about me, but going up those stairs, there's no railing.
Ooh.
So a guy who's sitting in seat B101, I went, take my hand. He's looking at me like, what? Take my hand, I need help getting up the stairs. So I apologize to you, sir. Yes, I know.
You made his
I apologize
night.
to
Are
you,
you
sir,
kidding?
sitting there with your girlfriend or wife, because he was really like, who are you and what are you asking? The play is on.
You had a very cool hat on there that said
Yes.
producer.
Yes.
Yep.
You all had hats on. You brought some hats, right?
I did bring some
Maybe-
hats.
Can we,
But the whole thing is about
I came
the
with
hats.
gifts.
The whole thing is about
This
the
is
hats.
how we differentiate the different characters we play. We each play about 25 different characters in the show.
So the hats say little Nazi girl, drunk one, drunk
yes,
two.
yes.
Yeah.
So we have some CBS Mornings hats.
So yeah, so in case you forget where you are or who you are, what network you're on.
This actually works.
Yeah,
And
thank
maybe,
you.
Can I have one?
Yes, of course.
can I
And
have-
if anybody
Thank
wants
you.
to take a vacation, I feel like
I appreciate it,
I don't
Drew.
live far away. I could also.
You know what? I actually could use this because when I do go on vacation, people are like, hey, Michael Strahan. I'm like,
No. Yeah, you should just wear this.
Yes,
CBS Mornings.
and you know what I get? I get, hey, Hoda, it's so good to see you. And I
and
go,
you like, hold up.
No.
and I'm like, yes, I'm Hoda. Yes.
Well, see, now we can all.
We appreciate you.
So I'm really part of the team.
Thank you for bringing gifts.
You are. Andrew, thank you.
So talented.
It was so fun.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you, and
fun.
thank you for coming.
No. I'm flattered that you asked me. What's your next move? Have you decided yet? Can you say?
Movies.
I can't.
No?
I can't. Well, no, I can't.
Yes, you can.
I can because it actually has been announced. I'm about to go do a movie with Allison Janney.
Nice.
And
okay.
the very talented Jim Rash who wrote The Descendants and The Way Back. We're going to Albuquerque to film a movie. So I'll be with my pal Allison Janney.
That's awesome.
Well, since you are a member of the team, could you just read I say thank you, Andrew.
Sure, to
thank
this
you.
one. Yes, thank you, Andrew Rannells.
Yes.
Gutenberg the Musical is playing at the James Earl Jones Theater. Nate?
All right, you got too many jobs. Don't try to take ours, all right?